Have you ever been told that you shouldn't cry? Or have you ever been told that you shouldn't be sad? Or have you ever been told that it's wrong for you to get angry? Well, today I'm here to tell you that none of those statements are true. I'm here today with my husband. Hey, babe.
Hey, what's going on?
Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, today we're going to be talking about our emotions. I did a Bible study, if you guys don't already know. The pastor talked me or challenged me into leading a women's Bible study, and I chose to do it online. And the first study that I felt drawn to was Jenny Allen's Untangle Your Emotions. So there's a page that we use to choose the studies, and I was looking through several of them, and I just kept coming back to this one. So highly recommend. She has a book, and then also she has the Bible study. So during the week, so we would meet on Saturdays, but during the week when I would work on the study guide, Juan and I would actually do them together, and that was a lot of fun because I feel like we learned together and we got to bond also at the same time.
Yeah, it was cool to do it together, and then we're both learning and growing together. So, like something that I might have learned on there, you may have not picked up, or I may have not picked up and you picked up, and we get to bounce ideas off each other. So it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it also came at the right moment because I had just found out I was pregnant when it started. So when I had organized it, I didn't know I was pregnant yet.
Mm-hmm.
So actually something we didn't share in the last podcast was whenever I started spotting. So at the beginning of the pregnancy, about 6 weeks, I started spotting, and I didn't know that could happen because I had heard about implantation spotting, but that's supposedly when you conceive. I was already 6 weeks, so I didn't know what was going on. And I remember feeling scared, and I tried to suppress the feeling and tell myself not to be scared because that's what I usually do. And then I remembered what we had learned in the study, that no emotion is bad and that we shouldn't suppress them, that we should allow ourselves to feel it, and then whatever emotion that was, take it to God. So in that moment, I stopped myself, and instead of trying to suppress it or act like everything was normal, I asked myself, like, okay, I scanned my body. I was like, what do you feel? And honestly, I felt scared. I felt fear. So I took it to God. I prayed to him about it. I told Juan about it. I even cried, I think, because I was scared because we heard so many stories, and we prayed about it together. And then, we eventually went to the doctor. They said everything was fine. Everything was normal. Nothing to worry about. They didn't know what it was, but to me, it was so helpful and even life-changing because it taught me how to deal with my emotions, because I've always been the kind of person who suppresses her emotions. Like, it's hard for me to show emotion, or I feel very uncomfortable crying in front of people because I was taught that crying was a weakness.
It was a scary experience, but I think we dealt with it. We handled it well. I mean, not that I wasn't worried, but I had a calmness with it. I was like more at peace with it. Because I didn't feel that anything was wrong. Yeah, I felt like I went into like, how are you going to handle this if there is something wrong? How's it going to be for you? So I think that's where my thing was. I don't think I was even thinking about my emotions. I was just, how can I be supportive for you?
That's sweet. Yeah. Would you say that you tend to suppress emotions, or you deal with emotions pretty good?
I think I handle them. To some people, it may seem like I suppress emotions, but I accept emotions. I'm not a person who's like, oh, I'm too tough to cry. You put me on the last thing. I was crying on the last one. I'm not a person who's afraid to feel emotions, but I think I'm a reserved person. So I deal with my emotions when I'm alone.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I think for everything I've gone through in life, I have a story. It just taught me I'm very big believer in you have to go through it to get through it. So I don't just say, oh, I'm not feeling this. Like, I'm feeling it, but I don't have to cry because I'm sad, or I don't have to be all like loud and let everybody in the world know I'm mad. I can be mad, and you don't need to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm
that's
not saying not you, but like people.
Yeah. And we'll get more into it too, but yeah, it's basically like the main thing was emotions are meant to bring you closer to God and closer to others, to help you connect with others. So, and on my notes I had written something, and you said that you liked that you don't have to tell everybody, but you have to tell someone. And we'll get more into that. So let's start off with the basic emotions.
Oh, I had a question. I had a follow-up question.
Okay, go for it.
How do you think I deal with my emotions? Because I said how I think I do, but
Yeah, I think you deal really good with them. You don't try to hide them, and you are very. If something upsets you, you tell me right away, and you're like, we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna fix it.
yeah,
So you definitely don't run away from them. Yeah, I think you deal with them really good.
I think you do pretty good. I've seen you grow a lot in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like the study really helped.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I used to run from my emotions.
And well, I guess we could kind of talk about us, because you would be like, I want my space, and I'm like, I want to deal with it. So we're going like this, like we're just kind of in a circle, and it would make it escalate more to where like I'd be frustrated because you don't want to talk about it, and you're getting frustrated with me because I want to talk about it. You're like, leave it alone. I'm like, I don't want to leave it alone. Leave it alone. I don't want to leave. So you can see how that would. But we did a lot of work, and I think we communicate well now.
Yeah, I feel like we've gotten a lot better. Yeah, I feel like I'm more open to talking about them now. And I've always known that's the right thing to do, but it was just the way I was raised.
Yeah, it's hard to be vulnerable.
Yeah, that too. And now, like, you'll be like, yes, we're going to talk about it. But sometimes you'll be like, okay, I'm going to give you your space.
Yeah.
So I feel like
it was a growing thing I had to do as well.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of came to like a middle ground. So where it's, yeah.
Yeah, because what is it? Against unpopular belief, we do see differently from time to time.
Yeah, and that's going to happen with everybody. With the person you're married to, your friends, your family members. You're never going to 100% agree with someone.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Someone's going to hurt your feelings. It's going to happen. They're going to let you down. They're going to disappoint you. Well, we're talking about all those feelings, but then there's also the good feelings.
Yes.
So, and that's the thing about living in community or living with somebody or just community in general. And I was actually, I'm on the 3rd Jenny Allen study now. And I read her books too, and I do her studies. And she's talking about, it's called Find Your People. And she talks about community. And she was like, you could be alone. She was like, and not have to worry about like the messy stuff or this or that, but you're going to be alone. You're going to be isolated. And that's not what God intended for us. That's not how God intended for us to live. So, you have to learn to deal with each other, the emotions, everything.
Yeah.
And talk it out.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can go into the 4 main ones. So the 4 main ones are joy, anger, fear, and sadness. And then everything else will either fall under one of those 4 categories. And I actually had wrote this in an Instagram post, but I'm going to read it again because I think it's so good. So it says that joy is a gift from God. And then it says, these things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be full. And then I don't know why I didn't write which verse that was. It says, anger is a necessary emotion. So I know some people would be like, oh, Christians shouldn't get angry, or they think that if they get angry, they're sinning. No, that's not true. You can feel anger without
reacting
sinning.
on it.
Or you can react to it, but it's how are you reacting to it?
Okay.
Yeah. So anger is a necessary emotion to stand up to injustice, but we should also be slow to anger. It's what we do with our anger that determines if something good turns into something bad. And then it says the Bible describes God as a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness. But then we also saw Jesus flip tables. So that tells us. And I think that was like such a comforting thing too, like her talking about how God feels all the emotions, how Jesus came in as a human. He felt all the emotions. He was angry, he was happy, he was sad, he even experienced fear. And regardless of all the emotions that he felt, he never sinned. So that just goes to show that no emotion is bad. Because, and I still like sometimes catch myself. So I try not to call them negative emotions anymore because they're not negative. You can turn them negative, but the emotion itself is not negative. It's usually trying to tell you something. The next one is fear. It says, in our constant reminder, we need God. And so fear is our constant reminder we need God and that He is there. It brings us closer to Him and reminds us of His fatherly love. And then the Bible verse for this one is, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. And the last one, sad. It's okay to be sad. Our feelings lead us to connection with God and other people. David lamented a lot, and God called him, called him a man after his own heart. So even the Bible characters, the people that God really loved, they also felt all these things. David was scared. David was sad. He felt all the emotions. We were doing a second Bible study. It's called Get Out of Your Head. And that one's more about mental health and your thoughts. And it was so helpful to have done the emotion one first because it helped us remember that emotions are not negative. We were talking about, so in that one, we'll talk about that one in the next episode, but the spiraling of your thoughts. And one of the girls asked me, she was like, because, there's that verse that says, do not be anxious.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, so is it bad to feel anxious? And then, took us back to this study guide. And I was remember emotions aren't bad, but they're usually trying to tell you something. So think about what it is that you're anxious about. And, we didn't talk about what it was that she was anxious about, but I used finances as an example. If you're anxious about money, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe it's just an indicator that you need to sit down, write a budget, and, come together and, figure out how you're going to stick to the budget. Instead of being like, oh, my God, money, or, and then trying to do things that you shouldn't be doing for money. So, like I said, it all depends how you react to the emotion, but the emotion itself is not bad. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, a common thing you hear, fear a lot of times is a survival instinct. Mm-hmm. It heightens your senses, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're scared, you're more focused, you're more aware. Our bodies are made to have those emotions to survive, mm-hmm. to thrive. Mm-hmm. As much as the same flip side of that fear, if you've ever been with somebody who, when a baby comes into life or at their wedding or whatever it is, something huge, right? Like you feel all that joy. It's such a euphoric feeling that just lifts everybody up, and everybody's, in that same environment feeling the same way. It's powerful. You go to church, and when people are giving their life to God, the way you feel that emotion, it's not sadness, but it pulls on your heart in a similar fashion, right? Yeah. So those are all emotions that we're given, and they're there for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, to me, it was so mind-blowing when she said emotions are meant for you to connect with God and connect with other people. And my brain was just...
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because I know you guys know I love studying psychology. And I recently learned that psychology was taken out of theology. Because just like everything else, people want to take God out of all the good things. So at its principle, psychology is a good thing. But over the years, it has been corrupted by a lot of evil people. So a lot of the psychology that's taught today is not even... It doesn't work if you don't have God. So you can learn all these wonderful principles, and as a human being, you have your power is limited. So you can only get so far. But if you truly want to get somewhere, if you truly want to heal, if you truly want these principles to work, you need God in them. So that's why I love that I'm studying this study. I loved it so much because it includes psychology, but from God's perspective, the person who made the human being, because psychology, you're studying the human, but it's like, what better place to study it than from the God that created you?
Yeah.
I don't know if that made sense, if I worded it right, but
Yeah.
yeah. So to me it was like, okay, so I understand now. Emotions are not bad. None of them are bad. It's just how we choose to react. Even anger, it's not a bad thing. Maybe anger is telling you that you need to stand up to an injustice, or that something that shouldn't be going on is going on, and you need to be the one who stands up and says something. That's not bad. We're not called to be pushovers. I feel like a lot of people have that misconception of Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kumbaya, la, 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 nothing bothers me. You can slap me as many times as you want. Because they take that one verse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you've ever been like wanting to do something to make a change, whether it's your finances, physical change, whatever it is, your job, it normally takes you to get mad to make that change, right? You have to get mad with your circumstance, with yourself, and be like, why am I here? What did I do? I deserve better. When you get fired up, which is another way of like being mad, you make that change. So that's something.
I like that.
And then I mean, this isn't anything to take home. Like, you have to take home with you. But the way you said, like, Christians are supposed to be like, kumbaya, like, just turn the cheek. Well, from the movie The Robertsons, where where Phil tells them, what does he tell him? He's like, you're supposed to turn the cheek, and the pastor tells him, you're right. God says I have to forgive you, but he's going to forgive me too. I wouldn't quote me on that, but I just thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I have that one in my back pocket.
Yeah, we're not saying you have to be like this, but we both really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, Paul and Peter, I feel like Paul was mad all the time.
He cut somebody's ear off.
Yeah, Paul was an upset person.
Peter
Cut somebody's ear off, yes. But that's what I was saying, Paul and Peter, they were angry.
Yeah, they would get mad at people. Yeah. And not saying that we should be following Peter and Paul. The one we're supposed to be following is Jesus. But even Jesus flipped tables at some point.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's, and it's, for me, I see it a lot, especially like in politics, just because the election is coming up, and I see people like saying like, no, God is in control. This, Christians don't need to be involved in politics. And it's like, well, if you don't get involved in them, someone who doesn't believe in God is going to be involved, and they're going to be calling the shots.
Yep.
So obviously, yes, God is in control, but that's like saying, oh, I'm not going to go to work today because God will provide. You still have a responsibility here on earth. But yeah, and I won't get into all the corruptness, because I just seen a video about Walmart, and that's another rabbit hole I haven't gone down. But we won't go into that. But talking about emotions, like, it also helped me because I need to remember to control myself, because seeing corruption, injustice, the killing of the babies, the children being trafficked, it makes me mad. It does. And as it should. It should make everybody mad. But yeah, it's something I'm working on.
Yeah, and all this is to say that, even though we're talking about emotions and we've done the studies, we're not perfect. We don't have it all figured out. I had somebody cut me off today, and the way they cut me off, I debated. I got a little upset, and I debated on, reacting on it, but I didn't, and my day just went on. I remember the license plate. I remember the car, but I mean, if I would have reacted on it, it would have ruined the morning. It would have made us late. It would have been a domino effect. I'd still be dealing with the problem right now. But I moved on, moved forward. We had an awesome morning, and we didn't let that little second of me getting mad and it, determine what it was. And instead of being mad, I was very happy the rest of the time, because we spent it in community.
This episode was sponsored by the Injury Paralegal with Adam and Garza Law Firm. If you guys are ever in an accident, they are the people to call. I personally used them whenever I was in an accident, and throughout the whole process, they always made me feel like family, like my health was their priority, and they were able to get me a settlement that I was happy with. So if you guys are ever in this situation, I recommend you save her phone number. I'll share it on the screen. Go follow her on Instagram. the injury paralegal, and just have this information on you because you just never know. Hopefully nothing ever happens, but at least that way, for example, when it happened to me, I had the adrenaline going. This had never happened to me. I wasn't sure what to do. I called Monse, and then she guided me throughout the whole process. They also speak Spanish, so if you or a family member doesn't speak English, you guys can also give them a call. Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, he felt the emotion, but he didn't react negatively to it. And that's what we're saying. Like, everyday things, like, you don't need to react. It's like when it's like something's really, really bad, then you need to react. And that's why it says be slow to anger. So someone cutting him off was not a big deal. And yeah, like after we were going to church, or we were going to the prayer breakfast, and it was such a nice, it was like such a nice day that we had.
It made me think about John Maxwell. When he talks about, he's like, somebody cut him off, or they didn't like the way he was driving. And he's like, they told me I was number one. I don't know how they knew I was number one. Which, if you don't understand, it means they were flipping him off. And he, instead of being upset about it, he's like, they told me I was number one. And he's like, I don't know how they knew I was number one, but I thought about telling them they were number one too. I didn't, but it's just like you take it and you can control the way you're feeling with it, instead of just being like, oh, like, screw you, you flip me off. It's just like, yeah, you
control your thoughts and your reactions. Your emotions, you don't, because those are God-given, and usually they're trying to tell you something, but it's how you choose to react and where your thoughts go with it. Those things you can control.
And if you practice it on the little things, you have control of it in the big things. Like, I'll share like a quick story. Like, I'm talking about like controlling that. My dad had open heart surgery, years back, and everybody there, it's a huge emotional time, right? We were all there, and we're all very upset. We're all sad. When you get told it's the last time you might see somebody, and everybody's in the hallway. We're all sad, and nobody's really controlling emotions, and we're just being overwhelmed with emotion. And I don't know what came over me, the Holy Spirit, and I just said like, hey, I was like, I'm sad, but I was sad. I was angry. I was like, I don't need to suppress these emotions, but I don't have to be out here just crying. It's like, I can be a support system to these people when they're sad, to my family while they're sad. I can be sad with them, but I don't have to be, breaking down. It's like, I could be like a stronghold for them. And ever since, that's what really changed my perspective on emotions, was that instant. I didn't have no training. I didn't have nothing. Just Holy Spirit just talked to me at that time. And I was able to just stop crying. I knew how I felt. I felt with them. It's not that I cared less or anything like that, but I was able to provide comfort by connecting with them in that sadness. So you feel the emotion, you understand the emotion, you're processing the emotion, but you don't let it overtake you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's awesome that you are that way, because, well, I know, like, and I don't want to put this on you being a man, because I know people are like, oh, men shouldn't cry, or men should be the, not show emotion. But it's not that you suppress or hide your emotions, but you know how to handle your emotions. Yeah. I guess it's a better way to say it.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't say I'm not sad, or I'm going to just not cry now, not feel my emotions and cry later. Yeah, who wouldn't be upset? Like, you just told you might never see your dad again. Like, that's upsetting. Yeah. It's a very sad experience. Like, it's overwhelming emotions. But what was more important to me right then in that time was being a stronghold for the family, to be somebody who's there that can be like, hey, this isn't it. This isn't what our faith calls us to do. Like, we serve a greater God than this sickness or whatever's happening. And I don't know. I think I may have seen in my parents. My mom expressed that a lot. So that could have been where I got it from. It's just Holy Spirit, whatever it was. It just something that I experienced, and I got to learn from it. And I'm sure a lot of y'all have been in an experience that way. And just remember on that time, learn how you process that and practice it like in your daily life.
Thank you for sharing that. That's something I can learn from. And it also brings me comfort to know that you're always going to be, well, I don't want to say always.
I'll try to be.
Yeah, I don't want to put that on you. But you're a good person to lean on. Yeah. All right. So I just took a few notes from the book. And just chapter 1 was basically like, feel your feelings. Your feelings are not evil things that need to be beat back. Obviously, you need to be cautious to not take it to the level to where you're making decisions based on feelings either. Because I feel like a line that's being crossed a lot right now. It's, oh, my feelings. Oh, I'm offended. Oh, this, and that's not right either. You need to feel the emotion, just as to call it what it is. So call it by name. And you that's how you gain power over it. So it's okay for you to be like, oh, like you said something that hurt my feelings. Like, that's okay. But for you to go, I'm just thinking about people who go around like demanding changes in society because their feelings.
Yeah,
That's not right. We don't. Yeah. I don't even know how to articulate that. That's not okay.
Yeah, I would just leave that one alone.
Huh?
Said I'll just leave that one alone.
Yeah, and don't make any decisions based on feelings either.
For sure.
Yeah.
What's the saying? Don't make a permanent decision on a temporary feeling.
Yeah. I mean, feel the feeling, allow yourself to feel it, but when you make decisions, use as much logic as you possibly can. I mean, obviously emotions are necessary, but when people move solely on feelings, that's dangerous. Chapter 2, she talked about feelings were never meant to be fixed. Feelings were meant to be felt. And I like that, because a lot of people will be like, oh, stop crying, or oh, don't be sad. Think positive things. Sometimes someone comes to you and they're going through something, and sometimes all you have to do is just sit there with them, and just while they go through it. Sometimes that's all they need, just to have someone there.
Gotta go through it to get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people will suppress it, and then it lingers around longer and longer because you never dealt with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's just like, it's so important to call it by its name, what it is. And then bring it to the light. She also talks about confession, how important it is, because usually when you talk it out with somebody, you bring it to the light, it loses its power, because the devil operates in the darkness and in isolation.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just makes me think about like when you talk stuff out, and then like, you're just in your head about how you're feeling, and when you start talking to somebody, you may hear it yourself. You're like, wow, I'm overreacting, or they might have something of insight. And normally those conversations just come out to like, you feel so much better after talking to somebody about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so true.
Sometimes you don't even need to do anything. You're just like, oh, I need to drop this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So find somebody you can talk to.
Yeah. Yeah, like we said earlier, you don't have to tell everyone. I also don't agree with you having to broadcast your problems or your feelings or anything like that. But
Don't go to Facebook.
I remember when Facebook first came out, people would do that.
Oh, they still do it.
Oh, I guess I deleted my Facebook I deleted my first Facebook, and then I made like a little secret one. And I had like 100 people on there, and they're not like that. But yeah, I believe that there's still people out there who do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, it says your feelings aren't trying to control you. They're trying to tell you something. So how we talked about earlier. Like, what is that feeling trying to tell you? What action do you need to take? Because sometimes you do need to take action.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think about, and I can't remember it. It's been about a year since I watched it. And it's Tony Robbins. He's talking to a couple, and they had some problems, and they were at his retreat. And he talks about naming your emotion and not just being like, I'm sad, I'm mad, like digging deeper into it. What are you physically feeling? What do you feel that is it in your gut? Do you feel like, like analyzing it and really sitting into it and understanding it better? And it was a hard topic that they were dealing with. And they talk about it, and they were vulnerable in front of everybody attending. I don't know how many people, 100, 200 people that were in attendance. And they're standing there dealing with their personal problem, but they're naming everything. And you can see where they start to where they don't really want to talk. And he just like coaches them through it. And once they start taking hold of those emotions, naming them, calling it out what it is, exactly how they're feeling, you see them start communicating better and better. And then you can see that they're taking back control over it.
Yeah, it really amazes me when I watch him coach. I'm like, dang, it's good.
Yeah, and he uses so much from scripture, and he doesn't always just say like, oh, I got this from there. But when like he always talks about, he believes in God, and he, I won't speak on his faith because I don't know 100%. I don't know him like that. But a lot of his principles are based off the same things we learned in his word, in God's word. So I think that's why he does. I mean, he's really, really good. He studied it, spent so much time doing it, and practices it and preaches it. But a lot of the stuff that I see him using for coaching techniques are a lot of stuff that we get ourselves in techniques from the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, it's taken from there.
Yeah.
It just removed God.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people are like, oh, therapy doesn't work, or I've been in therapy for years. Well, you're missing the most important part. That's why it's not working for you. But I really like watching him coach. And the whole body scan thing, I think it's really cool too. Like, where in your body do you feel it?
Yeah.
And what emotion is it? Like, name it.
There's power in that.
Yeah. Chapter 3 talks about our willingness to feel what we feel Sorry, I need to breathe.
I didn't say nothing.
Okay, chapter 3 talks about our willingness to feel what we feel connects us to ourselves, to others, and to God, which is what we've been saying. You will never be emotionally healthy outside of God, which is also what we just said. Yeah, you need God. You can't. It's like a plant who's trying to survive without soil. It's like, what are you doing? Get back to where you belong. Chapter 5 says, if all we do is control or manage our emotions, we lose touch with ourselves, our need for God, and our need for each other. And then this is where it said, you don't have to tell everyone, you have to tell someone. So because if you're trying to, instead of allowing yourself to feel that emotion, you're like, oh, I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to scroll on social media. I'm going to go gossip with someone. I'm going to go watch a TV show. Like, I'm going to numb myself. You start not being able to connect with other people because you're no longer connected to yourself. You're not going to God and connecting with Him. So it's really hard for you to connect with people, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned social media.
That's it.
I said when you mentioned social media and talking about like people going to social media, that's so, you see it so often and it's so bad. It's so dangerous. People will go to social media when they have a fight or a disagreement and they'll blast it, and then they go find somebody who like agrees with them, and then that's when you're getting messy right there, and you're opening floodgates. It's so bad.
Yeah.
So throw your phone away from you if that's something you do. Like if that's one of your coping mechanisms, stop. Right now, stop using social media for coping because it's so bad. You could do so much good with social media, but it's so bad if you're using it for the wrong ways. And just find a therapist, find a counselor who's Christian based.
Yeah, I would say a Christian one. I didn't even think of that, but yeah.
Find the Lord.
Yeah. When we say find someone, we don't mean anyone.
Yeah.
We don't mean strangers on the internet. No. The opposite sex who's been trying to get with you.
Yeah.
That's not what we're saying. We mean like someone.
You're going to have problems for sure then.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah. I always tell women, if you're a woman, go to an older woman who you respect, who you know will keep whatever you speak about in confidence, and who is wise and will give you good advice. Because sometimes people go to their friends, and sometimes their friends their same age don't have the best advice. Sometimes they do, but a lot of the times they don't. And if you're a guy, go to a man who's older than you, who's wise, who you respect, who will give you good advice and will keep everything you tell him in confidence.
Yeah, build those relationships now when you don't need them, so you can build them and let them grow. And then that way, y'all talk about things. And you see it so many times where you'll see it in movies a lot, and it's always like somebody has a mentor and they talk to their mentor. They don't present them as a mentor, right? They're just somebody who sometimes they'll be a coach, or sometimes they'll be like the leader on the team or something. And they go and they consult with them, and they lean on them in those times, but they put in the time they built that relationship, and that person isn't necessarily biased on a situation. They just want the best for that person most of the time, right? And that's how it's presented. You see it in movies. You should be doing it like so much more in your life.
Yeah.
You should have people you depend on. You should have people you go to, that you just lean on to. And if you don't have that now, just work on it. Put yourself in environments to find those people. And then you can experience these emotions, the good emotions and the bad emotions with them as well. So it's important to have somebody.
Yeah, for sure. A good place would be a life group at your church. If you go to church, small groups, some people call them Bible studies. People of God, I would say, are the best people to go to for advice.
And it's all, sorry.
No, I was going to say, can't speak for everybody. Not saying that just because someone says they're Christian, like automatically that means they're going to give you good advice. So for the most part. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and you might go to them to help you understanding like your emotions, and the study, it was for your woman's thing, and we did it together, and it helped me. Like, it was really good. And I was like, dang, this woman's preaching right now. But you can, build that relationship, take things from it. Y'all do it together. Y'all don't do it together. But you might end up helping them. God might put you in their lives to help them. So if you start understanding your emotions, naming your emotions, and being able to have control and power over it and not let it control you, then you can help others as well. And y'all can help each other in the journey. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, because for me, it's my mom, usually, because I know she'll give me Bible-based advice. What does the Bible say? Versus, like, a friend who doesn't read the Bible.
Yeah.
Her advice is going to be very different from someone who does read it and, tries to apply it. All right. Chapter 5 says... Oh, I already read that one. Chapter 6. We think God is waiting for us to pull ourselves together, but actually He is waiting for us to come to Him and fall apart. And that's so true. Because like I said, when I use that example of whenever I was spotting, I wanted to suppress that emotion because I felt like I was sinning, or like I wasn't trusting God by feeling that emotion of being scared. And then I remembered this because we had studied it, and I said, no. I was like, I'm going to go to Him and tell Him how I feel. And I was like, Heavenly Father, I'm scared.
Yeah.
And that's what He is. He's a father. So it's like if you have a kid, we're currently in the process of making one right now. But if he's ever scared, we're going to want him to come to us.
Yeah.
We're going to be there for him, and we're going to comfort him. And if it's something we can fix, we'll fix it. And, so that was something that I really stuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember later on, afterwards, you told me, you're like, that study helped me so much there. And I was like, dang, like, that's just like, I keep wanting to say, whoa, that's good, because you listen to Sadie's podcast so much. But it's like, whoa, that's good. Like, God led you to lead the life group. We would have never done this if we didn't meet with Pastor Jeremy, who told you should lead a life group. He challenged you to do it, and you took that challenge and you did it right. And then that was the first study we did, and then you got to use it like in our life, one of the what's potentially one of the biggest things in our lives. You got to use it in, and it's like, whoa, that's good. Like, it's so good. That's just God right there, just showing out. And even though like it was scary in that moment, there was no fear. Like how much joy our child is bringing us, just knowing you're pregnant and everything. So from that fear moment that we got through, we leaned on Him and got through. We're getting to experience, since we got through it and everything was good, we're feeling so much joy, and we're getting to share that joy to others and tell them how they can not just be crumbled by the fear. Because if you would have just sat in the fear the whole time, it could have made things worse for you.
Yeah. This episode was brought to you by BCN Supplements, our all-natural supplement company. And for our listeners, we do have a discount code if you visit our website, www.bcnsupps.com.
You can use code BUILT, BUILT, for 10% off. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, and that was another thing that told me too. Because the first one we went to was Dr. Sarah, and she said, "Happy thoughts, happy thoughts." I mean, she gave me some herbal medicine, but she's like, "Hey, like, don't think negative, like, just happy thoughts." And I was like, okay. So I was trying to just, think good things, think about how God's in control, how everything's gonna be okay, and how happy we are, and all those things. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that you said, "Well, that's good." I have been listening a lot. I recently, so I don't know, we haven't shared this on the podcast.
No.
Juan recently introduced me to Duck Dynasty. I had never seen it, and we just watched the whole thing.
It's called, she binge watched the whole thing.
I didn't want to use that word.
Well, you were in your first trimester.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so yeah, first trimester was nothing but Duck Dynasty, and then I found Sadie Robertson's podcast, and it's really good. I know we talked about women preaching, but she does a really good job, and I feel like if you're ever looking for someone to follow on social media, because I know, like, I started on unfollowing actually a lot of women who were just posting about their bodies because it was fit. I was doing fitness and modeling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? This content no longer serves me. And so I started following other people, like obviously Jenny Allen, Sadie Robertson is a great follow. Maddie Prue is also a good one. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of Sadie Robertson lately. So definitely recommend. So we were in chapter 6. It says, another point that she made was, the point of life is connection. With God, with our own hearts, and with the people God puts in our distinctive corner of the world. And it says, we can't be present with God and others when we are refusing to be present with ourselves. So that's kind of what we talked about earlier. Like, if you can't connect with yourself, how are you going to connect with others? And if you're not connecting with others, you're living in isolation, and that's not okay. We weren't meant to be. We weren't designed to live that way. He looked at Adam and said, he's lonely. He needs a helper.
Even if you're an introvert, we're both introvert people. But find you an introvert and y'all can stay.
Or find you an extrovert. That way the extrovert's always reaching out.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I was saying it works for us. We're both introverts. Like, I'm an introverted person. I'm a laid back person who is working most of the time, and we're homebodies. But build those relationships and with the emotion, so that you can feel that joy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not all just about, like, I mean, we've said it over and over, but it's not all just the sadness and the anger. But you build those relationships, you grow emotionally mature, and the sadness and the anger doesn't have as much power, but the joy and the peace is so much greater, especially when you have like a partner or a person that you like, it doesn't have to be your partner. It could be like your best friend, like your bud. You just call them, and if they're, they're truly friends, they're so happy for you. Like, when we told a lot of our friends, like, the way they were so excited, like that joy we got to experience. Y'all seen it in the last video, like the way some of them were just so happy. That joy, you got to experience that joy with them. And it's really, really cool. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think that's one of the coolest things, like just sharing joy with other people.
Yeah. I can still remember back to our wedding, and like, we have on video to where you're just like, you're like glowing and so excited. And I just remember how like happy and just everybody was awesome. It was an awesome experience.
Yeah, it really was. And yeah, family to me, like, that was a big thing, because we even talked about eloping. We talked about like having it somewhere else. Like, it's cheaper to get married in Mexico or whatever. But I was like, I want to have my family there. And we even thought about like Italy, how like, to me, that was like, oh, that looks so gorgeous. Like, we could go there. But then I know not all of my family would be able to make it. And to me, it was more important to share that moment with my family. And it was awesome. Like, the day of, my brother was like, he's like, you keep making these noises. I didn't even realize I did. He was like, I guess, I don't know. He was like, you look so happy. And I was like, the whole day, because I was like, I'm going to allow myself to stress up until the day of. The day of, no. We're just
Yep.
enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, I remember somebody, like, I was in charge of a lot of stuff leading up to it. So everybody got used to me being like, they're like, it seemed like you were like a controlled stress, I guess, like almost like stressed out because I was just doing a lot. And like I was directing a lot of different things and a lot of moving parts and all that. And then the day up, we both told ourselves, like, whatever happens, we're just going to enjoy each other. Like, we've already done everything. This is about us. I remember they knocked the bar over right in front of me and stuff spilled on the floor. And I was just like, what? And I just walked past it. And normally I'd be the person who starts picking it up and starts getting it back. I was just like, y'all figure it out. I'm going to go enjoy the time with my bride.
The bar or the bottles?
That's why the bottles fell, because they knocked the bar over.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I was just like, what? I just kept going.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, but I'm so glad we did it that way too. And then also like at my aunt's
Yeah.
ranch, that's so like meaningful. And I feel like I've been trying to be like what actually matters,
Yeah.
you know? And, you know, obviously not everyone's always going to be happy for you. But those are the people that don't need to be in your life.
Yeah.
But the people who are there in the joy, the people who are there in the fear and the sadness and the anger, like those are your people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to say, you mentioned something else. Oh, how I said about extroverts. No, we're both introverts and we work perfectly together. I don't think I could like marry an extrovert. But when it comes to friends, it's very good because sometimes you'll be like, I don't want to go out. And they'll be like the ones to drag you out. And then you'll be like, oh, I actually had a good time.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a mix because you need the introverts for like the serious, deep conversations. But then you also need the extrovert for, hey, you need some fun in your life.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Sure.
Yeah. And then the last one was, we can't be emotionally healthy if we refuse to be emotionally honest. Which is what we've been talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta be honest with yourself and not lie to yourself when you're sad. Be sad. Mm-hmm. Again, I mean, I feel like beating a dead horse, but sad doesn't mean you have to be locked up in a room crying alone. Sad can mean like you feel the sadness, but it can drive you to do things. It can motivate you. It can, you were sad because X happened or whatever happened, but it's like, hey, it makes you look at the things like you said earlier. What's more important? What's the things that are of actual value? Like, what are we here doing? How are we impacting the people around us? You can get that from going through a sad experience and being like, hey, I didn't if somebody passes, like, hey, I didn't get to spend as much time with them, but they had a huge impact on my life. I want to have impact on the people around me. Like, you can use that.
Yeah, I like that.
Joy, I feel like you don't really have to say much on joy because that's what everybody wants to feel, right? Like, we're always do. But joy is like it's something everybody, we all experience everything, but a lot of people just like, I think people forget, if you didn't have like sad emotions, the joy wouldn't be as joyful as it is. So it's a balance. You need those things. Like, it's the highs and lows that people talk about. You have to go through the lows to really appreciate the highs. And when you start, you can start using your lows for you to make your highs so much higher.
I thought of two things. Whenever I said we can't be emotionally healthy if we refuse to be emotionally honest, I feel like you're huge with that. Like, you'll look at me sometimes and you'll be like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, tell me.
Because you think you have like a poker face or something.
I do think I have a poker face.
She's over there like, and I'm like, what's wrong? Nothing. I'm like, what's wrong? Nothing. I'm like, you're hungry? No.
It's usually I'm hungry and I'm trying to breathe. Lately, those are the two. But yeah, I feel like you've helped me a lot with that and then when you talked about someone passing away, I've been that person who will like go to a funeral and I won't cry, and then I'll go to a restaurant and they mess up my order and I just start crying because they messed up my order.
Yeah.
But it's like displaced emotion. So
it'll come out somewhere.
yeah, if you bottle everything up, it's gonna come out somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I had it with death when I was a lot younger. there was, passing in the family, and I bottled it up because the same way, like I was raised, I think most Hispanics are raised. There's like, you don't cry, it shows a sign of weakness. Like, you're a man, you're not supposed to like feelings. You're not supposed to have feelings. You're not supposed to have emotions. You're just supposed to be there. Not even stoic. You're just supposed to like be numb.
Yeah, no.
Because
That's what they teach you to be.
don't get those two things confused either. I'll go on a tangent on that in a minute. But I bottled it up so much that I got physically ill.
Yeah.
I just started throwing up, and they're like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Nothing." I woke up. I ate the night before. I woke up. There was nobody else was sick. I just started getting really sick because I just had everything bottled up, and it had to come out. It was a big, it was a lot of emotion and a lot of things to process that I wasn't processing. So I think maybe that's where it kind of comes from, because I experienced it so young, like bottling everything up, and it making me physically ill. And I'm as hard headed as it gets at times. I can be like just dumb how hard headed I can be, and I used to be even worse younger. So it wasn't about like, oh, like I'm weak or anything like that. It was just like it had to come out, and it came out. But yeah, like I can go to stoic and being numb. I think in society it's easy to confuse those two by saying like being stoic is somebody who you control what you can control and you leave the rest up to God, and you don't, because something doesn't go your way that's out of your control, you don't break down. That's you're being stoic there. Like you're understanding like, hey, I'm control what I control. I use like what's coming up to Olympia, like CBum. We're all expecting him to win, but if he doesn't win, I feel like he practices it very well. He's done the work. He's controlling what he can control, and if he doesn't win because the judges who are out of his control don't pick him, he's got to be okay with that and not let it define him. But there's a thing about being numb to things which is different, which is more, I don't want to say dangerous, but it can be dangerous, because if you start becoming numb to things, then you start going down a bad path, and you can do a lot of things and not realize the negative you're doing to yourself and to others. So it's important. That's why it's very important to know your emotions, know your body, know the people around you, and not to get those two things confused. You're not strong because you don't feel emotion. You're strong because you can handle the emotion.
I like that.
The trademark.
No, yeah, but that's so true. Yeah, a lot of people numb themselves and they go down a bad path, and they're not able to empathize with other people or just connect, because they can't connect themselves, so they can't connect with others. So they can't be there with you when you're sad. They can't be there with you when you're happy, because they programmed themselves to not be that way.
Yeah, and it might seem easier at the time, but it becomes a lot harder, heavier, and worse later.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you were talking about like it's gonna come out, like people can get physically ill over their emotions. It's bad. Like you'll hear, like I've even heard of people dying from stress.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
I talked about my
what
dad's
in
heart
the
attack,
world?
and they said that's what it was from.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it wasn't like from bad habits, but they said that was, according to the doctors and what they know, they said that was the leading cause.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. I mean, just think about a time when you've been really sad, like you got devastating news, like you feel physically ill, you feel like a emptiness in your stomach. It feels like something's like pulling you down. Your legs can feel weak, like your head will hurt. Like all those things are from emotion.
Yeah, and that's why it's also like so important to sit down and like actually acknowledge and feel the emotion and validate the emotion, because your dad maybe he was raised to be that way, to suppress emotion. But if he had taken the time and been like, you know what, this is stressing me out, I'm gonna cut this out of my life instead of trying to push through, or I'm gonna take this rest day because like instead of like trying to force yourself to push through, or there's so many like things that come to mind right now, like different people where they're like, oh, like I haven't slept and I'm working 3 different jobs and I'm worried about my kids, and like I know, like I understand some people they're doing what they can, but at the same time, like, hey, is the world really gonna end if you like put yourself first and be like calling to work today? I don't know. I'm not saying like I don't want to tell you guys what to do, but like whatever it is that you have to do to get yourself right emotionally and mentally, because yeah, you can physically hurt yourself.
Yeah. On the finances thing, for anybody who's like feeling, I guess that like desperation feeling that they must be feeling, like if you're having to work 3 jobs, not getting to spend time with the kids, but you're, you're working so you can provide for them so they can have the things you didn't have, or just to make ends meet. Start, as much as counterintuitive as you're going to want to think it is, you're going to say, I don't have the money to tithe. Start tithing.
Oh, yeah.
Start believing in the power of God. Stop making them small because your faith is small. Start having the faith. I mean, you hear it quoted all the time. The faith, the size of a mustard seed would move a mountain. God will bless your house so much if you start being obedient in your tithes. Start putting him first and start leaning on him when you're tired and you feel like you're not getting rest. He says, come to me, all who are wearied and need rest, and I'll give you rest. Mm-hmm. Like, go to him. He's there. He's waiting for you. And I'm telling you, like, the blessings you'll receive in your finances, the blessings, the rest and the peace you'll have. Like I said, I'm one of the most hard-headed people. I can be one of the most hard-headed people that I know. But when I made that change in my life of not thinking, when I do this and I'm going to do this, and I started giving it to God, huge change, such a big change, and just blessings. And you don't have to feel all that stress and go on it alone. Like, join a church, join a community. Whether he blesses you through, and I've seen it in my life, all my life, with finances, or a different job, which is going to lead to better finances. Even if it's like a step back for a bigger comeback, whatever it is, just start leaning in him, trusting in him, and truly trusting in him by giving your tithe. Not by saying, oh yeah, like I believe in him, I'm giving, my $10, when that's not your 10%. Give it to him, because he gives you the strength to get up every single day, and he'll start blessing your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you'll see supernatural things happening too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that movie we watched. It made me think of it right now. The movie we watched last night, the football one.
Oh.
The football high school coach.
I think Facing Giants. It's Facing the Giants, I think is what it's called.
Okay. Yeah. And then, they're going through it. And he's like, I'm going to obey God. And he goes to God and he's like, hey, I get all these things going against me. And he's just obedient, and he's like, we're going to do everything for the glory of God. And then someone buys him a truck because his car wouldn't even start sometimes. I'm not saying someone's going to buy you a truck.
That'd be amazing if they do.
They could.
I pray that they do.
Yeah.
Buy me one too.
Yeah. But things like that do happen when you're right with God and you're like, hey, I'm going through it and this is how I'm feeling. And instead of going out and doing something I know I shouldn't be doing, I'm bringing it to you, and I'm going to obey you, and everything I do is going to be for your glory, and he will bless you.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I feel like you had said something else, but...
I said a lot.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, chapter 7 says, where did those of us who know Jesus get the idea that we were going to have a straight and easy path all the way to heaven? So talking about that. Oh, yeah, so I was going to say, like, even if sometimes people they'll be in a marriage and maybe the wife is working and it's causing trouble between the couple, and maybe they're not seeing each other as much, or whatever problem it is, and then the wife doesn't want to stop working because she doesn't want to cut back on certain things, and then they end up getting a divorce, or something ends up happening because she was never there or he was never there. It could go both ways. The husband too, he could be working too much, whatever. We see that, we hear that a lot. and then the marriage just goes down the drain when someone could have been, you know what, I'm gonna cut back on the hours, or you know what, I can cut back on certain things so I don't have to work and I can be more present at home. Or the husband could be like, okay, I don't need to work that many hours. I can spend more time with my wife and kids. I don't, like those things. So that's what we mean by like your emotions will always be telling you something. And sometimes it's good to listen to those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like think about it, pray about it. Like, God, is this what you want me to do? Is this the right thing for me to do? But sometimes you're able to save relationships by like listening to the other person and what the other person is telling you about their emotions. Like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And if you're just like, oh, well, get over it, that's not going to end good. But yeah, like.
Yeah, you have to validate what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. And if you're the person having those feelings, be honest. Mm-hmm. Let that person know. Maybe the person doesn't know. Maybe that's why they're doing what they're doing, because they don't know how you feel.
Yeah, be reasonable about what you're feeling too.
Well, not what you're feeling, but what you're expecting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because on that, like, say we'll just use the example you started. Like, they're both working too much. She could stay home. So they're spending a lot on daycare, I'll say. And because I always hear everybody say daycare is expensive. And she's like, I have to work to afford daycare. And then she's mad at him for trying to work more so she doesn't have to work and then afford daycare. Well, maybe if you just didn't do daycare, then you don't need that job. So, or you don't want to cut back on how many manicures or pedicures. I'm not attacking women. I'm just like using the example.
Yeah, these are all examples. We don't want anyone to feel attacked. I mean, it could be the child. The child needs the parent there because they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. And it's like, what's more important? Do you need to go get those extra, however much you're making? Or is it more important for you to stay home in this season and take care of that child and give them the attention that they're needing?
Yeah. Yeah, and just because you're not making doesn't mean that you're not contributing to the house. If you're saving, it's the same as making. If you're saving that money and it's not being spent, maybe you were driving far and you're cut back on, 50% of the fuel costs, and then you're eating at home instead of picking up food, and you're making your coffee at home. That's huge savings there. It's the little things will add up, and then you'll have that time to have breakfast together potentially, or have the food, spend time making food and just enjoying it better. Then instead of feeling that negative emotions all the time, which I know you said we won't call them negative emotions, but feeling the emotions to where they're counterintuitive for your relationship, you could start feeling the emotions that help build your relationship.
Yeah, and since we're talking about money, I'll use also like the Dave Ramsey example. And this is not us telling women not to work. These are just examples that we're using. This could apply to literally anything. Mm-hmm.
But I stand on business when I say the man should be the financial person in the house.
Yeah, the provider. Yeah, but I was thinking about Dave Ramsey, how he talks about how, he's a millionaire, multimillionaire. Maybe, I don't think it's nothing multimillionaire. Mm-hmm. And he talks about how his wife never worked since they got married. And he was like, I don't make a decision without asking her first. Mm-hmm. He's like, if Sharon has a bad feeling, he's like, we're not making the deal.
But you got to tell them how he says it. Like, he goes, my wife's real Southern. He's like, and they get feelings. They get these feelings. He's like, if she's got a bad feeling about something, we don't do it. He's like, because anytime she's had a bad feeling, it's like the time, I think at the time he didn't listen to her when she had a bad feeling, he's like, I lost a whole bunch of money. So anytime she's got a feeling, we're do it.
But he says feeling like with a very Southern accent.
Yeah. I tried to do it. It didn't come out that good.
But yeah, maybe you're not contributing financially, but you're contributing with your wisdom and your counsel to your husband. Like, there's so many things. Like, I haven't had like an actual job in very long, and this is like the best we've been doing financially. Mm-hmm. And it's because we're making better decisions. God is blessing us, obviously.
Yeah.
All the glory to him.
We put all our trust in it and started tithing. I don't want to say tithing religiously, but tithing religiously.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, and I know, like they say, don't let your left hand knows what your right hand does or whatever. But the reason we're talking about tithing is because we just want to encourage you guys. Like, first of all, the Bible says to do it. And then second, we have seen the blessings. So
Absolutely.
we just want blessings for you as well.
Yeah. No gatekeeping.
Yeah. So we're still in chapter 7. Okay, so it says, amid the mess, our emotions can also light the way to undeniable beauty. So I think that's basically what we just talked about. We're so in sync right now. It says we can untangle our emotions and chart a path out of our pain. So then she goes on to say how first you want to notice, stop. What are you feeling? Scan your body. And then you want to name it. And then you want to allow yourself to feel it. And then you want to share it. And then you choose what to do. So those are the steps. Notice, name, feel, share, and then choose. So going a little bit deeper into notice, it says step 1 of connection through feelings is to notice how we feel. Because we were built to feel. Emotions are best healed in community. We do ourselves no favors when we fake that we are okay, which I feel like we talked about. Our bodies are constantly feeding us information about how we're doing, but we have to pay attention to learn. I don't know if we need to go more into that. I feel like that's basically what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I think so.
And then you want to name it. It says if you want to tame it, name it. We want to work with our emotions, not against them. So stop trying to fight them. Because whatever it is, allow yourself to feel it. So name it. And then it says too many of us don't have a vocabulary to describe our feelings or what we've misunderstood, or we have misunderstood what constitutes an emotion. And then she talks about how there are 4 main emotions: joy, anger, sad, and fear. And then you have all the other ones that fall into that. Well, I wrote down page 123. And then she also has the feelings wheel.
I thought that you were going to.
Yeah, no, I didn't pull it up. I should have. But on here, things that you could feel that fall under joy would be satisfied, amusement, peace, comfort, rejoicing, delight, excitement. Things that would fall under anger would be irritated, frustrated, bitter, hatred, outrage, and rage. And then things that fall under sad could be disappointed, melancholy, lonely, helpless, hopeless, grief, and anguish. And then some emotions that could fall under fear would be unrest, doubt, nervous, worry, dread, panic, and terror. So I highly recommend getting yourself, you can just Google it, a feelings wheel. And if you ever find yourself not being able to name your emotion, you can just look at it and identify what it is that you're feeling.
Yeah, that's good too, because if I just tell you I'm upset or I'm angry, you're like, okay, well, why are you angry? And I tell you I'm angry because, or I'm feeling mad, which, is anger, because I don't know, we'll just make something up. You didn't take the trash out, or the trash people didn't come. You're like, you're mad about that? But I'm not mad. I'm just like frustrated because now the trash is built up, or I have to go back outside right after I just showered or something. So if you can name it, it's easier for the person to understand. Because instead of it just being like, you're mad about everything, instead of just being like, well, that's reasonable. Like, you're frustrated because you say why you're frustrated. So it's a little bit easier to communicate and understand.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of times people will be like, oh, I'm mad. And they don't understand the problem is not that they're mad. It's like maybe something happened that the person feels like they're not being heard, or they're not being respected, or their feelings got hurt, or they're actually sad, but their reaction is they're mad. But once you get down to it, you're like, oh, you're not actually mad, you're sad. Or your feelings are hurt, or I made you feel like I didn't care, or
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. I just thought about like somebody wanting to get a work promotion, somebody else gets it. They're like, oh, I'm mad about that. It's like, well, you're kind of sad because you feel like, you weren't respected enough to get that position, or that you deserved it and you weren't validated the way you thought you should have been. So you're sad. You're not mad. Yeah, you'd be sad. I could see how it could turn to mad, but how you said it all comes from the sadness.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and yeah, when you talk it out, it's easier to name it when you're talking it out with someone. So that's the next one, sharing. It says to be truly seen, soothed, safe, and not alone in the pain heals you in ways you can't believe unless you have felt it. So to be truly seen, soothed, and safe, and not alone in pain will heal you, which we talked about. It says we don't have a knowledge problem. The problem is that we feel unsafe, unloved, unseen. We won't move toward healing until those wounds are addressed. So sometimes we know what we're supposed to do, but the emotion, the feeling doesn't go away until someone validates what you're feeling, until someone addresses your feeling and you feel like it's safe for you to speak about it. You feel loved. Because sometimes people will come to someone and tell them this is how I feel. And they'll be like, well, that's you. That's your problem. Like, I didn't do anything. I was in the right. You know, some people are like that. So then that person doesn't feel safe around that person. They don't feel like they can go to them and tell them anything anymore. Because they're just going to push that on you.
Yeah.
Like, that's a you problem. It says, we are already experts in sharing our thoughts. What we need to practice is leading with emotion. Start with I feel statement and ask for an I feel statement response. So if you're someone and you're going who is feeling a certain way, go to that person and instead of saying I think this, and this, because now we're going to logic. And you can take emotion out of logic. Like, you can be logical and, like, take emotion completely out. And that doesn't make it okay. Like, you still, like, you could have been rude. And you're like, but I said the truth. Or, you know, but this or that. And it's like, well, it's still not okay.
Yeah. That's a good example.
Yeah. So I feel. So instead of saying I think or this or that, I feel like blah, blah, blah. And then with the person's like, well, I think, no. Respond to me with an I feel statement. And you get further with that conversation than if you both are like trying to logically explain your point of view.
Yeah, I can see it too. Like if you're talking to somebody and you're like, if you said, you know, hey, I feel like you just blew me off earlier, instead of just being like, you just blew me off earlier. When you were taking like an important phone call, or like maybe you have explosive diarrhea, so you just ran right past them. Like they don't know what's going on. And you know, so if you just come with that, I feel that's good.
Yeah.
And it's not either that like, I forget what parody it is, but it's like, I hear you. I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I hear you. I understand. It doesn't have to be like that. Every sentence, right?
Yeah.
But just to where you can learn to express yourself more, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you try that one, the I feel statements, let us know how it went for you. It says, feelings don't heal when we ignore them. They heal when we are wrapped up by the people we love in the middle of them.
Yeah, and it goes back to building those relationships when it's not hard. So, and putting the time, energy, and effort into them when it's not hard, and experiencing the good, so that way it's in the bad that they're there too. If that person's not there in the bad, they probably shouldn't be there with you in the good either.
Yeah, and you have like both sides of the coin. You have people who are only there in the bad because they're okay with you being in the bad, but when it comes to the joy, they're not there in the joy. And then you have the people who are only there in the joy, but they never. I'm assuming it's because they don't know how to deal with their own emotions, so it's hard for them to deal with other people's emotions. True. So then they're not there in the bad, or maybe it's just convenient for them to be there for you in the joy, and it's not convenient for them to be there for you in the bad. So that's something to notice also in the group of people.
Yeah.
The people you surround yourself with.
I think also looking at stuff too and using your own discernment. Before you're just like always like, oh, I feel like I deserve this, or I feel like do a little bit of self work too. That way you're not just always coming to somebody and then be like, oh my goodness, this person just always comes up in here feeling this type of way when they're in the wrong. So I think check yourself first a little bit, and then have people that will call you out and be like, hey, like, you know, you keep saying like, oh, I feel like they were rude. I feel like they were rude. But what are you doing to make them rude? Be rude all the time.
No, okay.
So
I
have
see what
somebody that
you're
will
saying.
check you.
Yeah, I like that. And then number 12 is, no, and it's also the last one, choose. So even if you think you aren't doing anything with your feelings, you are. So you get to choose what it is. So even if you're suppressing them, that's you doing something. It says faith isn't summoned, it grows. It grows because of your relationship with God, not your willpower. So we go back to us needing God. Jesus is our hope, but we must be honest about where we are and our desperate need for God. So we need to be honest when we go to God, because He knows us. You can't lie to Him.
Mm-hmm.
He can't be like, God, I'm believing in you. But secretly you're like, oh, I'm so scared. It's okay for you to be like, God, Father, I'm
Yeah.
scared. I feel like that's what David would do. David was very open with his emotions.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Psalms are about that. So then the last, well, not the last chapter, but the second to last chapter, it just says, there are times when simple awareness can help us and straighten things out and we can fix it ourselves. And there are times when we need more help. Sometimes we do need to talk it out. Sometimes we need professional help even.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes just, like we said, talking it out will help you. Sometimes talking it out with a friend is still not enough. So sometimes it's okay if you need to talk to a professional. Don't feel... I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to tell a stranger my problem. Well, sometimes that's better because they're not a part of your life. You don't
they're
have
not
to...
biased in any type
They're
of
not
way.
judging you. Yeah, you're not going to go to like a get-together and they know your business and they're judging you secretly. You know, like, to me, I feel like talking it out with a stranger is even better. But that's just me personally. It says scan your body. Take it. So another thing you can do if it's just you, scan your body. Take a break from screens. Sometimes you're spending too much time on this front of the screen and it's making you mad.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever it is. Sit in silence. Eat smart and drink water. Move. Sometimes working out will help you feel so much better. Get outside. Sorry. Take a nap. Talk to a professional. I'm laughing at the take a nap because there's a prophet that God was like, eat something and take a nap, and then he woke up and he was fine. So sometimes there are things that you can like physically do also, and they'll help you feel better.
No, I mean, we know how important it is to get outside, to be active and get sunlight, to put the phone down, turn the TV off, go outside, and just get those things. And I mean, from a scientific level, we know there's a chemical release when it happens when you're in the sun, and then also another one when you're physically exerting yourself. So both those things add up. It helps you put yourself in a better position. And maybe that's what you need to do to deal with that emotion. Maybe you just need to go outside and walk and sit in it before you go to somebody, so that way you know how to verbalize it. You don't have to just, as soon as somebody cuts you off on the road, let me call so-and-so and tell them how, like, it doesn't have to be that way. And maybe if you're in the beginning stages, maybe that's what you need, a little bit of it. But just for them to be like, hey, it's not that big of a deal. Like, calm down. They just cut you off. Like, you're okay. Let's start working on those emotions. But yeah, I think all of it, we touched on a lot of different things. If you feel like we didn't touch on anything, leave it in the comments. We might bring it up. We might not. You never know. Do you try?
You're silly. But sometimes you need people to like validate your emotions and sit there with you. And then there's other times when people need to tell you, hey, you're overreacting, or hey, stop caring so much what other people think about you.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
You just articulated it better.
Yeah. But that's the good thing about community, that you'll always hear what you need to hear. Or
They always tell you what you need to hear.
yeah.
It's not always what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear.
There you go. That's what it is. And then the last chapter talks about the gifts you will notice as you grow in emotional health. So number 1 is we have hope again. Number 2 is we grow in grace toward ourselves and others. We get God. We control what we can, and we stop trying to control the things we can't. And 5, we start creating again. Like if you ever felt stuck because you've been stuck in that emotion, you're able to like feel better after you do all the steps. And then you're like, oh, I feel like I can create again. And whatever it is that you like to do. Or you feel like refreshed and you're like, oh, so it was such a good day at work today.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to sum up this podcast in a few words, I would say, take your emotions to God, find your community, and get professional help if you need it.
I like it.
Well, how would you sum it up?
That's what I've always said. You got to go through it to get through it. Just because you go through it doesn't mean you're doing it alone. You can have your community, but depend on God. It's okay to feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean by, so you got to go through it. You got to feel it. Mm-hmm. And to get through it, you have to take control. And that's by naming those things, by understanding what's causing those things, and by doing the things you can to put yourself in the best headspace and best position you can. So you got to go through it to get through it. I
like that. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending how long that was, an hour with us or so.
All your time. Just spend all of it.
I hope this was helpful. If it was, let us know. Leave us a comment, and share it with someone who you think might need to hear this.